Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is a home of original people. Original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome to all my narrators. So here we are on this fantastic Friday evening with another weekday installment of the Narrative Podcast. So this year is going by really quick. This month went by really quick. So we're almost into, seems like we're about to be into fall. But been amping up my effort to try to, do more weekday uploads of the Narrative Podcast. And I've been successful for the most part. I've been taking a little hiatus here and there, but being pretty much consistent. This is my third weekday upload of the Narrative Podcast. So fingers crossed I have uploaded before midnight. So it'll officially be a Friday upload. So it will be Monday, Thursday, and then today will be Friday. So that's 3 uploads I gave y'all this week during the weekday. And fingers crossed I can do the Saturday full episode of the Narrative Podcast in a few hours. But it might be on a Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to get it back to where I used to have it, just like a lot's been going on, but appreciate you for riding it out with me. And here we go on this Friday evening for the weekday edition of the Narrative Podcast. For anybody unfamiliar or anybody new to my platform, how I generally start things off is with a brief overview of the podcast, just to give you full context about what this is about, and to familiarize you with the format of the podcast, and my presentation style, and just to bring you up to speed, basically, before diving into the content. I didn't do it last night. I just kind of skipped past because I started right at, I believe, I think a quarter till midnight, thinking I was going to, be short and sweet, and it wasn't. So here I go with the breakdown of the Narrative Podcast. I'm going to try to keep it shorter than I usually do. I just like to give you a brief synopsis of the podcast before diving into the content. But I'm going to try to keep it super brief. I'm not going to, go all in like I usually do. I'm going to just glaze the surface and, tell you what I need to tell you, because I'm starting so late. But I like to try to cross my I's and dot my T's and just make sure we're on the same accord. But anyway, starting at the top, Tippy, the name. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast as I don't like the false narrative that the police weave about original people and original people culture. So that's why I designed this platform, to counter the way the media intentionally misrepresents our people and misrepresents our culture to the world. On my platform, I uplift and edify our people. That's what the entire podcast is all about, is uplifting in edifying original people. I get to the original people a little bit later on into the synopsis, but that's essentially what my platform is about, to uplift and edify our people, and then also to bring awareness of why we need to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and then also to inspire the listening audience to do like I do and share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So that's basically my mission statement about the Narrator podcast, and I think that's a perfect way to segue into my tagline. The Narrator podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, hence the title, The Narrative Podcast. So there you have it. I basically try to inspire, bring awareness to the listening audience and inspire the listening audience to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And by our people, I mean original people, black people. And like I said, I'll clue you in as to why I refer to our people as original people over calling ourselves black a little bit later on in the breakdown. Up next, I call my target listening audience my narrators. I call my listening audience my narrators because that's just basically a nod to the times that we're living in. Which is we're living in the digital information age. Every things presented to us, all forms of information at the touch of a button, and people these days are telling or narrating their own stories. We do a lot of sharing online. Every platform has a bio section, and in your bio section, what usually happens is, people give you a little breakdown of their who they are as a person, their hobbies, their interests, and that'll give you a clue about what type of content you're going to see from that person's profile, like whatever platform they're on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, what's the other one, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, whatever, like all platforms basically have a little bio section, and then after the bio section you go through and see what type of content they're uploading. And like most people online, people basically share content reflective of the best possible version of themselves. So essentially, when people are sharing things online, they're telling or narrating their own personal stories. And when they're doing that, they're putting out the best possible version of themselves. You can be anything online, so why not be the best? Why not, flood the internet with, the best version of yourself? Living the opulent life, being happy, winning in life. That's what, the typical imagery that people share. That's the typical content people share about themselves. And I want that to be, the goal for our people. is to share the best possible versions of ourselves online, to tell or narrate our own stories, from the best possible perspective. And the reason why we want to do that, because the media intentionally misrepresents our people. They put out the worst possible versions of our people and our culture. So to counter that, we need to be putting out positive frames of reference and, sharing the best possible versions of ourselves. So you don't necessarily have to share stories about a celebrity, people you don't know. It could just be something positive you're doing in your life, your family, that's the type of content we should be sharing online. We shouldn't be playing into the negative stereotypes and this negative stigmas. The media portrays and propagates about our people and our culture to the rest of the world. So when they do that, basically it's just a form of psychological warfare. It's programming and conditioning, and it's basically what they do. They try to use the negative imagery to kind of push their agenda and make alter people's perception of our people, and alter our own perceptions of how we view each other, by watching the content that they put out about our people and our culture. We'll on a subconscious level, we'll start to believe I'm supposed to be degenerate. I'm supposed to be, if you're a man, I'm supposed to be a drug dealer. I'm supposed to be a pimp. I'm supposed to be a gangbanger. I'm supposed to be like criminalistic by nature. I'm supposed to be, doing things not on the straight and narrow. Like I'm supposed to, screw over everybody I can screw over. I'm supposed to be violent and aggressive. And then on the female side, they want them to believe that they're whores. They're supposed to, have attitudes and be angry and, flaunt, their sexuality and engage in degenerate behavior and unladylike behavior. That's what they try to program and condition our people to do. And unfortunately, the programming's kind of working. But anyway, becoming a narrator, that's kind of a solution to that problem. You see, because even though the media has a wicked, horrible agenda, at the end of the day, it's a business, and business is all about supply and demand. If we don't create the demand for degeneracy, the media will stop supplying degenerate content. If we exhibit and display, how we want to be portrayed, how we want to be perceived, they will respond in kind and provide the type of content reflective of the way we want to be viewed and perceived by all. They'll stop, putting up the image of the gangbanger, the thief, the guy that doesn't take care of his responsibility, that doesn't want to be a father to his child, the criminal people, the guy that's breaking into your house, breaking into your car, the guy sticking you up, robbing you, they'll quit pushing that image. And then in the women, they'll quit pushing the image of, the mammy, the the whore, the stripper, the twerker, you know, roundaway girl with the attitude, being lazy, on the phone, gossiping all day with no, business about yourself, no sense of urgency. They'll quit promoting those images about us if we quit, regurgitating the negative stereotypes and stigmas online. So, but longer story short, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. Living in this digital information age, we have the unique ability to tell or narrate our own stories. And that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. Next order of business, the Narrator podcast is a positive space. I just share positive content. I don't try to use this space for anything negative. Like I said, I only exist to uplift and edify our people. I don't try to, engage in gossip and slander and none of that. I don't endorse that. I don't, stamp that. So I would never try to, jump in the rumor mill and, put my 2 cents on gossip. It has no place in my life, and, I want to encourage my listening audience to not make it a home in your life. Because gossip is kind of what's destroying our people. It's like almost $1 trillion a year business for, affluent people within our community to be at odds with one another, hurling insults and airing out, personal business online and taking cheap shots at each other. So, it's like almost trillions of dollars to be made off of that. So I try to discourage my best against it. I try to keep this space very positive and uplifting and, just something nice to listen to and as an alternative for the online messiness that's, being circulated on a daily basis about our people and our culture. However, I do tell the truth. I'm very truthful. This is a space of truth also. I don't talk about other people, but if I feel like a celebrity or somebody famous is intentionally, utilizing their platforms to intentionally project negative stereotypes in the effort to acquire monetary gain, I will call said individual out on that for basically playing the game and, misrepresenting our people and our culture to the world. Like, you know what I mean? So, make a fool out of yourself, but don't make a fool out of all of us. That's, my thing on my platform. So basically, anytime I mention a famous person's name, it's never to, drag them down, try to, defecate on them. I'm not trying to name call them, drag their name through the mud or none of that. Basically, if I mention a famous person's name, it's just basically a vehicle to illustrate a point that I'm trying to make. And everything that I frame up in regards to our people and our culture, if anybody from our culture is engaged in something negative, like if it's like breaking news, if it's like a breaking topic, I frame it up from the perspective of, okay, this is why that happened, which like almost like 99.9% of the problem, anytime anything negative happens in our community, you can almost, like clockwork, trace it back to systemic programming and conditioning. This is why that happened. This is why this person acted like this. This is why this person said that to his brother or sister. This is why they, are going back and forth. They've been programmed and conditioned to do that. Because, like I said, the media, they control all forms of media. They control the news. They control, music, movies, television. This is, they insert their views about our people and our culture like on a real, like, super slick way. And, everybody else just basically believes that because they don't know a lot of us, haven't met a lot of us, and, all they have to go on us is what they see on the news, in movies, what they hear in music, and of course it's the worst possible version of us. So, anytime we're acting out, anytime we're committing crimes against each other, it's because we've been programmed and conditioned to do so. And that's the way I try to, frame up my commentary every time I'm talking about, or any time I'm talking about somebody famous. It's never to, denigrate them or talk bad about them. I really try to discourage against that. But, so yes, we have, our in-house issues. Yes, we need to take accountability and all that, yada, 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 and be the bigger person and not be controlled, yada, 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 da, da, da. We get it, but, we can really blame a good 90% of every negative thing that happens in our community. We can trace it back to, systemic programming and conditioning. So, yeah. Next order of business. This is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast because, number one, this is an audio platform. So, I can't see you guys. You can't see me. I have to keep you attentive and entertained and wanting to participate in the content and wanting to keep listening to me. So, the last thing I want to do is just bore the listening audience to sleep by, not having clear speaking points and going down rabbit holes and rambling and ranting, So I try to keep it clear and concise so my content is digestible, easy to follow, and so basically I ain't trying to hold you. So you can listen to it and, extract some knowledge out of it and, think critically with it. But, it's just like I don't want to just sound like wah, 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 wah. So that's why I try to keep it short, sweet, to the point. So I'm not rambling and ranting. And, I'm just keeping you guys attentive and entertained and informed. So which brings me to my last point before diving into the content this evening here on the Narrator Podcast. I refer to our people as original people on this platform as opposed to black, because black is, number one, we're not black. Black is a color. We're actually, if we're going off color, we're brown, dark brown. And for those of us that are super dark complected, they're not black, they're mahogany. But anyway, the reason why I refer to our people as original people is, for a combination of reasons. First reason being just basically to point out the first reason is historical relevance of the word original. We were and are the original people of this planet. We existed thousands of years before any other civilization. So we was here first. That's why I refer to our people as original people. And then in contrary to all, popular belief, being the original people, we inhabited pretty much every corner of the globe you can think of. And we didn't get there on slave boats to all these different places that we existed. The false narrative about our people, that the media tries to weave, that tries to pump up slavery. They try to make that the most influential time period in our lives when, we existed long before slavery. We existed like thousands of years before the transatlantic slave trade. So we were kings and queens, gods and goddesses. We ruled all that we surveyed. Slavery, it was a dark time in our history. Some of us were captured in the slave trade. Some of us were sold into slavery, but not all of us. Not all of us got to all these different places in the world on slave boats. Who was already just originally indigenously located there. Especially if you're talking about those of us living in America, in any of the Americas, any Spanish-speaking country, who was already, who was already there. A large concentration of us was already there. Large concentrations of us were already living here in America long before the slave trade. So, when they talk about, the Pilgrims raped the Indians and took this land, we were the original natives of this land. Indian is a false, name they coined because old Chris Columbus, he thought he went to India and he called the people in the land Indians. But if you, go to the Library of Congress, read his diary, he said, the people that live here are gullible. Not just the people, the black people that live here. He didn't say the red people. He said the black people that live here. In his, journal, he described the people here as black. He didn't say they were copper. And then also in Miles Standish, he got a journal too, describing the people that lived in America. So, point being, we didn't all come from slaves. That's a false narrative. And if you just critically think, they just really be capping about slavery. Because first of all, they say slave boats. There were no boats in early civilization. There were ships. People got around through ships, and the typical ship could only hold 30 to 40 people, but yet we show illustrations of hundreds of slaves packed in a ship in the lower galley, and that's impossible back then, way back then. The typical ship would only hold 40 to 50 passengers. So during the transatlantic slave trade, they wouldn't even have a complete 50 to go get slaves. They'd probably start off with 50, And then by the time they got to Africa, only like 20 or 30 out of the original 50, because some of them would stop, not come back aboard the ship and stay in one of them little ports that they go to replenish their supplies for the trip and not come back. Some of them would die at sea. So by the time they get to Africa, they only had like about 20, 30 max. And then slaves, they could only like take probably like about 40 or 50, not hundreds. So what was going on? They was enslaving the people that already lived in those lands. That's what was going on. So yes, our people here in the Americas, we was already here. They put us on plantations. They called us black. Because the original, the so-called Native Americans, the ones that get the paycheck, they're not the real natives. But anyway, I digress. I got a little long-winded. I just want to point out the reason why I refer to our people as original people from the historical standpoint. The next reason I refer to our people as original people is to denote unity. Because as I said, there are many different types of us, hailing from many different land masses, speaking many different languages, believing in all these different things we believe in. But the one common thing we have in common is that we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin, which is Africa. But we can have a debate where Africa actually was later, but we can all trace our lineage back to Africa, and we have high concentrations of carbon, aka melanin, in our skin, and that's our common bond that binds us together throughout all those differences that we have in our community as a people. Those are the common ties that bind us together. Is we all possess the same genetic makeup. We all have the same constitution. We can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. So we are original in that sense. We all have a unspoken bond as a people, no matter where we're at in the world. We all vibrate and move on the same frequency, but that's the second reason why I refer to our people as original people, as an attempt to unify us as a people, because everybody identifies themselves by their nationality. I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Nigerian, I'm from Canada, I'm from the UK, I'm from Germany, whatever. But the one thing we all have in common is that we're all original people. So that's why I refer to our people as original people. So now that you are up to speed with everything you need to know about the Narrator podcast, I'm going to dive on into the content. If you're still a little hazy about my content, I'm over 300 episodes in. You can go, check me out wherever you get your podcast from. I'm on every podcast distributor you can think of. All you gotta do is just, look me up, Halsey Allen Narrator Podcast, and you'll see my entire episode catalog. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content. But this is a weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. And on the weekday editions, what I tend to do is, I stay true to my mission statement, which is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And the best way to do that is by sharing positive news. Because as I said, the media's job is to program us and condition us with negative news. They want us to have us believing nothing positive ever happens in our community. We're never engaged in anything positive. We're living in war-torn communities. We're always committing crimes against each other. So when I stumble across a positive news article, what I tend to do is I just save it, screenshot it and take bulleted notes and just put it out in the atmosphere for the listeners that, hey, we do positive things, we do excel academically, we are entrepreneurs, we are leaders within our community, we are good mothers, we are good fathers, we care about our fellow brothers and our fellow sisters, we're respectful to one another, we want to build strong, healthy communities, just basically the opposite of how we're depicted and portrayed in the media, which is lazy, violent, and degenerate. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive on into these articles with the first article this evening on the weekday edition of the Narrator podcast. The first article, the headline reads, former black school teacher launches her own academy and YouTube channel. And the sister's name is Dr. Taylor D. She's currently at 1.5 million views on YouTube. She has her own learning academy and her, obviously, like in the headline, her own YouTube channel. So, Dr. Taylor D has a doctoral degree in curriculum and instructions, a master's degree in youth development, leadership from Clemens University, and a bachelor's degree in early elementary education. So basically, she has all this education. She obviously wants to impact the youth in the Carolinas. Sidebar, which is where the original people were originally, inhabiting this land, like we was already located in the Carolinas, along the Delta. If you know about Gullah Geechee culture, then you know. If you know about the Mississippians, Indians, But anyway, the article goes on to say she started her YouTube journey by converting an old seatless bus into a mobile platform. A mobile platform for promoting music, movement, and what did it say? My bad, I lost my place. A seatless bus into a mobile platform for promoting music, movement across the Carolinas. She created 2 programs, one called Tumble Bus, and another program called Beyond Fit Kids. She was also able to launch Right Now Works Education, and also her own media channel called Taylor Kids TV Media. She also writes children's books. She writes songs, choreographs dances, and creates video content on YouTube. So if you want to know about everything she currently has going on right now, as far as what she's doing for the youth, you can follow her on her own site at drtaylord.com, or go over check her out, her YouTube channel out, Taylor D Kids TV on YouTube. Just type it in the YouTube browser, Taylor D Kids TV, or follow her on IG at Taylor D. And that's it, and that's all. Let's put our hands together for our very highly intelligent, highly accomplished sister, Dr. Taylor D. So, next article on this weekday edition of the Narrative Podcast. Headline reads, 18-year-old high school graduate launches podcast and book about becoming a CEO. And the young brother's name is pardon, I'm trying to lost my place in the notes again. So the young brother's name is Mikhail Connolly Jr., Mikey for short. So during he got the idea for his brand during high school. He wanted to become a CEO. And he had an educator, one of his teachers, say, it's unrealistic for you to be a CEO. And so that's him encountering an educator whom he looked up to tell him he can't do something, inspired him to want to become a CEO. And he named his business the Realistic CEO Podcast. And on this podcast, he interviews the most affluent people in the world of business coming out of our community. He interviews real estate investors, stockbrokers, all the movers and shakers in the finance world. He interviews on his podcasts. He also has his own website called Realistic CEO, and that's on realisticceo.com. He also has co-written a book with his father based upon his childhood growing up from middle school all the way up into high school. It's called I Am a CEO. And currently he's planning to study communications and journalism when he goes to college. The article didn't say what college he, decided to go to, but he's going to college, and when he goes, he's going to take up communications and journalism. And if you want to know anything more about what the young brother's doing, you can hit him up at Mikey, M-Y-K-E, at realisticceo.com, or call him directly at 413-356-0820. All right. Very accomplished young brother already. Only 18. He has a clear trajectory in life. He didn't let a naysayer break his spirit and tell him not to follow his dream. That's a good example of, never give up, stay determined, and you can do anything when you put your mind to it. Because a lot of people is going to put you down, say you can't do it, and try their best to, deter you away from your calling. So that's why I shared that particular story, because I think we're all, diamonds in the rough. We're all, CEOs in the making. So, let's join me into giving this young brother a warm narrative round of applause for his accomplishments. And then I just want to point out right quick, the articles are much longer. I'm just taking the highlights from the stories because they're almost like a page and a half long. So I'm just giving you the bulleted, highlighted notes, the turning point of their careers, the turning point of their educations. I'm not going to tell you everything detailed in the article. This is he was 10, he did this, he was in high school, he did that. And, like I said, this is a time-sensitive platform. If I, went into it into super detail the way I came across the articles, we'll be here for 3 hours. But anyway. Last article of the evening. The headline reads, Black mom and son make history as the new owners of a previously owned Korean beauty supply store. And the mother's name is Nika Slade. It has 2 N's, capital N, lowercase n, E-K-A, Slade, and her son Cameron with a K, not a C. And the name of their establishment is called Beauty Plus, and it's located in Maple Heights, Ohio. And you can find out more about it at Beauty Plus Shop at Star Beauty Plus Shop on Instagram. So basically how they acquired the shop, Mika, I want Nika, remember that? I wonder whatever happened to Little Vicious. Well, he ain't Little Vicious, he's a super grown man now, probably got grandchildren. But anyway, got off track. Anyway, so Nika used to be a licensed cosmetologist for over 30 years. And then eventually she started selling products online and then she acquired her first brick and mortar location in 2018. Or excuse me, in 2021, and the name of their original shop was called Play Beauty Supply, and that was located in Richmond Heights, Ohio. So after they found out they can do it, the article goes on to say it was just like a like fate. It was a calling for fate. They was just in that neighborhood one day, and they got to talking to the former proprietor of the beauty shop, and basically, they hit it off. He was looking to retire anyway, get out of that neighborhood. He had been in that location for over, a little over a decade, and then he just decided to go on and sell that location to Nika and her son, and the rest, as they say, is history. And that's kind of crazy because our people, and unfortunately most Korean shop owners that's in the beauty supply game, do not treat our sisters with dignity, the dignity and respect they deserve, for patronizing their business. So, it might have just been fate giving them a hand to get out of there before, an ugly turn of events, because I don't know what happened. Because the Asian community, we was thick as thieves in the 70s. I don't know where, the separation came from, but it was sometime in the mid 80s to early 90s, the division, when we started separating, they started, coming into our neighborhoods, opening up their shops, and, treating us very poorly, talking to us very poorly. But, not to be pessimistic and say we can never mend the fences, because there's a whole lot of, super cool people in the Asian community that are super active and on the same page as us, but the unity isn't as quite as tight with our communities as it once was in the 70s and early 80s. I don't know what happened, but we need to get back to that. But anyway, got a little long-winded. Let's put them together for Nika and her son. Having a successful business and providing a service for our sisters who just, they naturally queens by nature. So, our sisters, they queens by nature, and we, us men, we're kings by nature. And our queens, they want the royal treatment. They want to be looking nice and smelling nice, and, and feeling like, a natural woman, like that Aretha Franklin song. That's why they visit and frequent those beauty supply chains all the time. That's just that inner goddess in them. They want to be looking their best at all times. That's why they stay going to them little spots. So it don't be to attract men. It's for them, But anyway, join me in the giving Miss Nika and her son Cameron a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Star Beauty Plus. All right. Now, next, I usually have a speaking point, and like I said, my speaking point is just basically about commentary. And when I'm delivering commentary, it's never from the space of, nothing negative. And I usually commentate on, things happening globally, things happening, nationally, or things happening, within our community. And the purpose of me doing that is basically to control the narrative, because the media have us looking and sounding all kinds of crazy, have us looking and all weird, and having us, look degenerate in nature. So when I usually deliver commentary, that's just me, in an attempt to try to control and take back the narrative and unpack it through our eyes. That's why I deliver commentary too after I'm done with the articles during my weekday episodes of the Narrator podcast. But I don't really have nothing to talk about tonight. Nothing super pressing that I think deserves light conversation tonight. So like I'm going to kind of break my own rule a little bit. Well, because I'm so stressed out about it. I'm not stressed, but I'm kind of at a loss for words when I want to talk about this person actually in our community. See, my big emotional trigger, my biggest pet peeve is when people insult my intelligence. After you insult my intelligence, I have, no respect for you after that. You cannot redeem yourself again in my eyes after you intentionally insult me. So, and this person within our community has habitually insulted us, has habitually insulted our intelligence on every turn, and continues to do so, and is no type of remorseful about it. And I'm all the way done with their antics. I'm beyond angry. So I'm gonna try to get through it and just do my commentary without calling her out of her name, but she's really getting on my nerves with her antics. But I'm gonna talk about it. The first lady, the first female vice president ever in history. First female multi-ethnic, because she's not black. She's multi-ethnic. So that's, strike one. She tried to pander and just say she's a sister. And so the thing that's irritating me is her pandering. I'm really, really sick and tired of this lady pandering and doesn't have our best interests at heart at all. And a lot of those on her side and say, give her time, she's just the vice president, she can't do nothing. The one thing she can do is to, play her position. She ain't got to do all the extra. Just keep it generic. You don't have to really sell that. It's really irritating every time I'm seeing Kamala Harris on television. She's engaging in the negative stereotypes for black women on television. She's engaging in the negative racial tropes of our people on national television. and she was quiet as a church mouse during the election, but now, as this year's general election is nearing, she's just like turning up more and more and more, just embarrassing the hell out of herself, embarrassing the hell out of herself, and then embarrassing our community as well. Just like, sit your ass down, lady. I'm sick of hearing, referencing like, oh, I'm about to go make me some greens and dancing and just all this. Just basically, man, she acting like a mammy, bro. I'm sick of her mammy antics. And if you don't know what a mammy was, a sister that would just, obsess with caring for white people, with the white children, and just, from a place of self-loathing of how much she would care for the white children, like they were so much better. Like, that's what a mammy means. If you don't know what a mammy is, she's a mammy. She's like mammy number one right now. We got a whole lot more mammies, but like I said, I don't do any name calling and dragging people through the mud. This platform is to uplift and edify our people, but this is also a place of truth, and I gotta tell the truth. I'm 110% disgusted and absolutely sick and tired of her antics. Stop misrepresenting our people like that. You don't gotta turn up like that. Like, nobody buys it that you're just 110% black. You're multi-ethnic. You got some black in you. You didn't grow up with the black experience. Knock it the fuck off. Pardon my language, but like I said, this situation with her is irritating me. Just the inherent disrespect she has for our community. She gonna sit up there with Taraji P. Henson and talk about, I'm out here in the streets. What streets you out here in? You ain't out here in these streets. What streets are you out here in, lady? You ain't out here in those streets. You don't have our best interests at heart. You said it from the very beginning. When she was in her very first press conference, she said, we're not going to just talk about only black people's issues, but then you need the black vote. So here it is, election time. We don't have anything in legislation from either candidate. We got the liar, and then we got the guy that just don't care. He checked out as soon as he got in. He like mentally checked out as soon as he got in office. He's not even trying to hide it. He don't care at all. At all. He don't care at all. He ain't even trying to even keep up. He's not even trying to keep up appearances. Like, he don't care at all. Kamala Harris is on. She's extra, bro. She's extra for no reason. You don't need to do all that. That's my frustration. You don't need to do all that. You got the job. The job's yours. Nobody else wants the job. You don't have to do all this pandering you're doing. Just say what you got to say. Don't try to put fire your advisors, whoever advising you, to try to use the nuances of the black woman in the effort to like gain the black vote. You don't have to do that. You're like embarrassing yourself, and then you're embarrassing our community in the process, because you don't be cooking no soul food. You don't be cooking no greens. You don't be out in them streets. Knock it off. You don't know anything about our, culture. You don't know. You're not connected. You're not. Knock it off. You know what you know, but you don't know us. It's irritating. If you want to embarrass yourself, but don't embarrass us. Stop misrepresenting us. As a community, we need to start banding together and start dragging these clowns off stage that intentionally misrepresent our people and whip their ass. Not physically, mind you. I don't promote violence, but like we need to just like give them like a real psychological smack up, a verbal tongue lashing. They need to know. Every time they jump up to misrepresent our people, we need to like unplug the microphone, rip them down off the podium, pull the blankets up off them, kick them on the streets butt naked, and kick the bums out the joint. Like, just give them the bums rest up out of here. You're not going to keep on getting on these platforms embarrassing us. If you want to embarrass yourself, but don't embarrass all of us. Don't try to like put us in your bullshit. But like that's all I want to really commentate on this evening. I'm trying not to call the lady out of her name, but you know, it's too much. It's too much. Please knock it off. Please take it down 20 notches. Respectfully, humbly, respectfully, Miss Kamala Harris, take it down a notch. Chill out. You're not about that life. You don't be in them streets. You don't know cornbread from pork crackling. Like, knock it off. Please, respectfully. So that's it for this edition of the weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. My weekend editions are slightly different from my weekday editions. The weekend editions are slightly longer. I have more sections. I'm not going to tell you like the differences in their entirety. You just have to you just got to tune in and see for yourself, or you can like go wherever you get your podcast from and go through my episode logs and do your own comparison and contrast. But just trust me, the weekend episodes differ from the weekday episodes. So to like stay up with the latest episode of the Narrator Podcast, what you want to do is follow me either on X or YouTube, because the platform that I'm broadcasting on automatically uploads to YouTube and X instantaneously. Like as soon as I'm done with the episode and upload it, it automatically uploads to YouTube and X. Every other platform you might see my link of the podcast, I gotta manually do it, but you know, it automatically goes to YouTube and X all by itself. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, Halsey Allen on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, notification button all, and for the love of God, comment on them. Click view so I can get the views on the YouTube. And then for X, I'm still not too affluent. I still don't know how X works per se, but follow me on X, Halsey Allen on X. I stay good at Halsey Allen actually on X. And what you want to do on there is click the link when you see it, the link to the Narrator Podcast. And then once you click the link, it should open up. You should see the little microphone logo, and then you will see a little arrow but pointing down. It's an arrow pointing down. Click on that to download the episodes. And then next to that is like a little heart-shaped button. It's the like button. Click the little heart. And then, of course, share episodes of the Narrator Podcast across all platforms. Doing all that helps the algorithm. You know the deal if you're a content creator. But the biggest way for you to help me out with the Narrator Podcast is to download. Click the little arrow going down and download all the episodes of the Narrator Podcast. But also, still, comment, like, and share as well. So next order of business, I also have a personal poetry blog on blogger.com called Hawes' Poetry Corner. And what that is a culmination of just, poetry that I write in the moment. It's a collection of spontaneous poetry. That's the unique thing about it. I don't contemplate on the title. I don't contemplate on the subject matter, what the poem's about. I just write that in the spur of the moment, and post it right onto the blog site. And the name of my poetry blog is called Hawes' Poetry Corner. And the site is www.mrhawesblogs.com. Another cool thing about it is, like I said, it's written in the spur of the moment, but they're so intricate and so detailed and so intentional. You would think that I pre-wrote it, but no, they're all spontaneously written. You're guaranteed to definitely find something to relate to, something that you will resonate with, or a poem that will resonate with you. You will see a part of yourself in some of my writing on that blog. You're guaranteed to. It's for everybody. I have quite a few poems on there specifically, for from my community, the original people community, but the bulk of them is just for anybody to read them. Anybody can relate to them. Any ethnicity, any race, creed, religion, whatever background. You can enjoy my poetry on that blog site. And the best way to help me to support that is go to the link, Hawes' Poetry Corner, www.mrhawesblogs.com, and share either the link or a poem featured on Hawes' Poetry Corner across all platforms, as well as, click that heart-shaped like button. And for the love of God, please leave a comment on my poetry. So when you click the link, get to the site, there's a little box. All my poems got a little, comment box. Write me a comment. Say something. Introduce yourself. Say hi. I like this. My name's da-da-da. If you got the resources, same thing, same deal. With the Narrator Podcast, it's a comment section in that too. Say something. Make yourself be known. Give me some feedback. Well, last order of business, I wrote a book of poetry as well, and that's on a site called poetizer.com. And if you're unfamiliar with poetizer.com, that is a website for writers. Anybody aspiring to want to be a writer, anybody that likes to write, specifically the genre of poetry, like it's in the title, poetizer.com, and you can go there and check out work. They have a online bookstore, a virtual online bookstore, and how that works is people that participate in that community, they can transform their work that they share into a book. And that's what the bookstore is all about. People's transformed work in book form. They put it either in a hardback or a softback, depending on what you want. So that's what I did on Poetizer.com. I transformed my work, which is a 30-page book of poetry, into a book, and I titled it The Black Card. And what it's about is it's an all-encompassing look about who we are as a people. Everything we go through as a people, our ideals, our beliefs, our values, just our day-to-day struggles, positive and negative as original people or black people. Basically that's what the book is about, a day in the life of black people. It's really smart, it's really witty, very creative, rich, organic. You'll enjoy it. People outside of our culture, you can also enjoy it. If you consider yourself open-minded or progressive, you would definitely want to just buy it to have as a reference tool for our people, so you can connect and interact with us better. So go over to Poetizer.com, go inside their online bookstore and purchase my book, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. Purchase The Black Card today or get your black card revoked. Well, that's it, and that's all. This weekday episode of the Narrative Podcast is officially a wrap. It will be Saturday by the time I get this shared back on the social. But, this is not the weekend edition. This is the Friday edition. The weekend edition will probably be later on today on a Saturday, or at the very latest Sunday, but this weekend for sure. Support Hawes' Poetry Corner. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from, as well as hitting that heart-shaped like button, as well as leaving me comments, and as well as sharing them across all platforms. All right, so love you guys. Sending peace, love, light, healing energy, projecting all positive vibes over everything you got going on in your lives, all your loved ones, all your endeavors. Stick and stay, family. It just gets better. It's always greater later here on the Narrative Podcast. We active. You are now officially part of the Narrative Podcast. You're all narrators now for tuning in to this episode of the Narrative Podcast. So I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time, and I'm asking you to aid me in my quest to change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen in the Narrative Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.